Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the first in a new series. Actually, it's going to be interesting, of Edward MacDowell orchestral music, complete orchestral music on Chandos, featuring Xiayin Wang, piano, which is a very good pianist, and the BBC Philharmonic under John Wilson. Yes, the notorious John Wilson, who really is much better when he's not doing blockbuster symphonic repertoire and he's exploring the more unusual sides of things, whether it's film music or English string music or other things like that. This is a lovely disc, and it contains some music that you're probably not too familiar with because it really hasn't been recorded before, I think, at this level of expertise. First, we've got Lancelot and Elaine, his second symphonic poem. Well, you know what happens there. There's Lancelot, and there's Elaine, and there's a love scene, and that. And then we've got the first piano concerto, which is actually a lovely work. It never gets played. I mean, the one that everyone does is the second piano concerto, which is also a lovely work, but this actually is really very well written, and it has some really good tunes, and it's decent. It's well worth hearing. This is a very lively and exciting performance, particularly the finale, which really gets smoking. And what's very interesting is that MacDowell actually has an ending that's a little bit unusual. It's always interesting to hear how composers end things, isn't it? Whether they can do something distinctive. And he does, which isn't easy with a piano concerto. You'd think it's all been done before, but no. He actually has the piano sort of overhang the last chords on the orchestra, which really makes a lot of sense and sounds quite interesting. So, yeah, good for him. And then we've got, two fragments after the Song of Roland. The Song of Roland. What are the fragments? One is about a Saracen and something else. And, one is about, the Saracen. And the other is the beautiful Alda. So actually, the beautiful Alda has some nice, vigorous moments, too. Again, the music is very appealing. MacDowell was a, pupil of Liszt, and his music is written in that vein. And, it's conservative by today's standards, the stuff we generally like from the late 19th century. I mean, he's no Richard Strauss or anything like that. But, he was writing in the 1880s mostly. Let me see, what are the dates of these things? 1886, 1882, 1886 to 1890. Then we get To a Wild Rose from his arranged by Victor Herbert from his Woodland Sketches, one of his most famous pieces for solo piano, from 1893, and then from 1887 to 1888, Lamia, his other symphonic poem. Oh boy, is that crazy. I mean, the music isn't crazy. The music is actually, I would call it tame. It's actually pretty good. I mean, I guess it does the story, but the story is just ridiculous. I mean, Lamia is a serpent, and she falls in love, and so she gets turned into a beautiful woman so they can fall in love. But needless to say, at the wedding, the truth comes out, and she turns back into a serpent, and everybody dies. I mean, it's after Keats, so in case you're wondering. And Lancelot and Elaine is after Tennyson. So this is a gigantic celebration of Anglo-Saxon Western music. That's what it is. And it's very enjoyable. Although I have to say, I always remember, going to concerts. And if you look at concert halls, they have the names of all the great composers. And in American concert halls, they had to find somebody. So you've got, Bach, Handel, Beethoven, Schubert, Mendelssohn, MacDowell. And I would just sit there and say, MacDowell? Why would you put MacDowell? Well, they had to pick somebody, and there were no American composers that in that day that they were really proud of. There were American composers, but they weren't going to stick Charles Ives up there, for example, when they built your new concert hall. And the other ones, John Alden Carpenter or Amy Beach, or there were quite a few. MacDowell was not hugely prolific, and he didn't live all that long. He was born in 1860, the same year as Mahler, and he died 3 years earlier, in 1908. So, we're lucky we have what we have. And I really think that it's kind of fascinating. It's taken this long for somebody to at least propose treating his entire orchestral output seriously. And of course, it's coming from Chandos because there are no American labels who would bother or American people who care, which is just, terribly American. So thank you to Chandos. Thank you to Xiayin Wang. Thank you to John Wilson and the BBC Philharmonic. It's about time this happened, and I'm looking forward to the next installments. There won't be that many. I mean, so it's another one or two discs, and then we should be done. We've got to do the 2 orchestral suites and the second piano concerto, and maybe a couple other goodies, but that's about it. And then we'll be able to assess his work, his oeuvre, in a more comprehensive way. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.